Good morning, XRP Army. Welcome back to the channel. It is a tantalizing Thursday, and we have a lot to cover today. We have news, we have price, we have all the things, and as always, if it's your first time here, kick back, relax, enjoy yourself. I don't ask you of anything. But if it's your second time, be sure to hit subscribe, smash the like button, and leave a comment for me. Let me know you are here. I appreciate every single one of you. Thank you for joining me. But without further ado, we will go ahead and hop into the price action. Let's take a look. So yesterday was exactly as expected. We had our sell the news event. I won't take too much time on my victory lap. We fell down right into the area that we predicted. However, unfortunately, I was wrong. We fell through that area all the way down. I came on last night at midnight for you all and drew this new 248 line. I think this is going to be crucial. We fell through 248. We're sitting about 246 right now. If we can't reclaim 248, this could fall all the way down to 240 before it starts climbing back up. But again, I'm not going to sit here and go over this way too much with you guys. But again, this is where we're at. We're at 246 right now. I think 248 is important. That's the level to look at. If it continues to go down, I think 240 is going to be our next line of defense. So just keep an eye out on that. But I don't think we're going to be there long. Let's take a look at all the news that we have today, starting with FX Empire. I told you guys before I like FX, but there's a lot of good information in this today. Starting with Ripple's U.S. banking license review ends soon, with traders eyeing potential XRP breakout or breakdown. Progress in the U.S. Senate and renewed ETF optimism boost hopes for year-end XRP price recovery. We're going to discuss that at length. Key catalysts include China talks, ETF approval odds, and the OCC's banking license decision. As far as we know, the China talks are done as of Sunday, but it's not fully official yet, so they're still reporting on it. ETFs, we have a lot to discuss there about stuff coming out and not coming out and why. And the OCC's banking decision, which is scheduled to be on November 1st, which would be massive. Again, falls right into Ripple swell and obviously the government reopening. We were talking about all these things happening at the beginning of November. It looks like it's going to happen. Let's see here. Traders brace for a pivotal end of October as crucial events could trigger the next XRP price breakout or breakdown. The official of the comptroller of the currencies OCC 120-day review period for Ripple's filing of the U.S. charter banking license is coming to an end. Furthermore, U.S. senators made progress overnight towards reopening the government, raising hopes for imminent approval of XRP spot ETFs. The anticipation of Ripple receiving a U.S. chartered license and the SEC greenlighting XRP spot ETFs had fueled speculation of an October XRP breakout, which didn't happen unless it happens today or tomorrow. If the government were to reopen, say tomorrow on a Friday, right, going into the weekend, that would be good. We see a nice little run up there over the weekend. But we talked about mushy volume over the weekend, so something to look out for. Ripple U.S. charter banking license. Ripple expansion onto Main Street could get a significant boost. Ripple filed for a national banking charter, which could further legitimize XRP and drive utilization, given that integration into the traditional banking system services, such as cross-border payments, remittances, and settlements, would drive institutional demand for XRP as a bridge currency. This is what we need. I've done a video before where they were waiting on one piece. They've got all 5 pieces except for the banking charter. So think of it like, let's think of this as the Avengers, right? And these are the Infinity Stones. They have 5 of the 6 Infinity Stones that they need. I know there's 5 in the movie. Give me a break. But they have 5 of the 6 Infinity Stones they need. And as soon as they get that 6th one, they can snap their fingers and it's game over for the rest of global finance, if you know what I mean. They'll have links to traditional banking infrastructure, payment networks, and correspondence banking relationships would further strengthen Ripple's access to global payment rails and liquidity. Crucially, the U.S. government shutdown will not affect the OCC's review timelines. The OCC is funded by member institutions, not through annual appropriations, and therefore continues to operate during the shutdown. Ripple filed for a U.S. chartered banking license on July 2nd, meaning the review period ends on November 1st. The period for public comment closed on August 4th. Remember, they had a bunch of eggs saying, no, don't do it. And then again, the Fed came out with the skinny master account. This is not the Fed master account. This is something different. This is their banking charter that they're trying to get. And again, this will be approved or not approved regardless of the government shutdown. Some analysts previously downplayed the significance of Ripple receiving a banking license on XRP price trends. However, Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse recently commented on XRP being central to its expansion onto Main Street, stating, "With today's close of Hidden Road, Ripple has announced 5 major acquisitions in 2 years. G Treasury last week, Rail in August, Standard Custody in 2024, Medico in 2023. As we continue to build solutions enabling the Internet of Value, I'm reminding all of you, XRP sits at the center of everything Ripple does. Lock in." I read that to you yesterday. What are you doing, FX? I read this to you yesterday, didn't I? Man, they're a little behind, aren't they? Sorry about that, guys. I'm not trying to double report on y'all. While the formal 120-day review period ends on November 1st, some analysts believe that the OCC may take up to 12 to 18 months to complete its total assessment. So just because the deadline is coming on November 1st does not mean this is a given. But that being said, can the president influence the decision? Notably, OCC heads is an independent office within the U.S. Treasury and can only be removed by President Trump submitting notice and giving the Senate reasons for removal. However, President Trump appointed Jonathan Gould as comptroller of currency on July of 2025, suggesting a more favorable stance on crypto firms. So hang on, let's go up here. He was appointed in July of 2025. Ripple filed for this banking license in July of 2025. So read the tea leaves, guys. I think this is going to go through. I don't think it's going to be delayed. Me personally, not financial advice, but I mean, he went into the position the same month that Ripple filed for their charter. Just keep that in mind. Very, very, very important information. U.S. Senate moves closer to ending the stalemate. While the OCC's review of Ripple's banking license request continues, the U.S. government shutdown further delayed the approval of XRP ETFs. The U.S. Senate statement extended to 29 days on Wednesday, October 29th, leaving the SEC with a skeleton staff. To date, the Senate has voted 13 times but failed to pass stopgap funding bill. However, there were reports of progress toward ending the shutdown. Crucially, the SEC could approve the pending XRP spot ETFs once the U.S. government reopens, potentially unlocking a surge of institutional demand. We've been talking about this ad nauseum. The potential launch of XRP spot ETFs and the OCC granting Ripple a U.S. chartered banking license set XRP up for a strong end of year. Spot ETF inflows will be crucial given the influence of BTC spot ETF market on Bitcoin's price trajectory. And I'm going to do a video on this here soon, I think, just the comparison of Bitcoin and XRP. And I know most of you who watch the daily updates know the difference by now, but there's just a lot of misinformation on what people think about XRP. And I'm not going to go over the technical outlook. They're saying 235. I said 238. If it goes below that, they've got 220 and $2. I really hope that doesn't come to fruition. But if we do fall below 238, my next price is 220, if you guys care to know about that. Catalyst to watch, China trade talks. We already talked about that. U.S. Senate vote, that's major. Government reopening and spot ETFs are major. But I want to talk about the spot ETFs because Litecoin and HBAR went live. And that's because they have the generic listing standards. And I asked GPT to help me out with this here. So I asked about the generic listing standards because it was telling me that, I was asking questions. It kept telling me no, and I had to bring in the exact verbiage here. But it says, under the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission regime, Form S-1 is a registration statement under the Securities Act 1933 for an issuer to offer securities to the public. 8A is an exchange registration under the Securities Exchange Act 1934. This form registers a class of securities for listing, trading on National Securities Exchange. Recent filings for altcoin ETFs, for example, Solana, Litecoin, and Hedera, included amendments in their S1 stating the registration shall become effective 20 days after filing without specific SEC staff review, enabling launches despite the government shutdown. The filings also got their 8A forms certified by the exchanges, such as the New York Stock Exchange, which was the final procedural step. Why this matters? Because of the U.S. federal government shutdown, the SEC had largely furloughed staff and was limited in its active review functions. Yet some crypto ETFs launched during the period because they used automatic effect language and the exchange certification of the 8A filings. In other words, they leveraged procedural law rather than fresh reviews. For XRP, however, the filings either don't exactly have the same structure or language yet in public view, or the delay is due to other factors, historical regulations. So XRP is still waiting on the altcoin ETFs moving ahead. And shout out to Zach Rector, because he put it out there last night. I watched it. I will not take credit for it, but he went and did the research. None of the XRP spot ETF filings, none of the XRP ETFs S1 amendments, have the 8A language on them. And what's crazy is Canary Capital, who has the XRP ETF out there and an S1 filed for the XRP ETF, had the language on their Litecoin and Hedera ETFs, but didn't put it on their XRP ETF that they filed 3 days later. That makes no sense to me. But what's the reason? We'll never really know, but it looks like the government shutdown's about to end anyway, and who knows? We can speculate on why they're doing it, but I mean, XRP is just crazy. It's crazy. I mean, I don't understand it. Oh, I don't even know why I flipped down to this. We're at 245.4. Trading View. What does Trading View say? Relevation. What did I say here? XRP news today. Oh, this is really good. That's right. XRP news today. Ripple CTO reveals new details about the XRP escrow. And this is going to tie into over here. The XRP community is buzzing with mixed feelings today. Curiosity blended with caution after Ripple's chief technological officer David Schwartz shed new light on the company's massive XRP escrow holdings. While the token's price remains stable, Schwartz's remarks have reignited old debates about what counts as XRP actual circulating supply and how this could shape its long-term valuation. Ripple's escrow twist raises new questions. In a detailed X post, Schwartz, also known as Joel Katz, revealed that although the 35 billion XRP held in Ripple's escrow cannot be circulated until their scheduled monthly releases, the company can sell or transfer the rights of those future tokens. This means Ripple could essentially sell the accounts that escrows will eventually release into, even if the coins themselves remain locked for now. This new detail doesn't change the technical restrictions of the escrow system, but introduces a financial dimension many have not considered, with XRP's total supply capped at 100 billion, 65 billion already circulating, and about 35 billion still in escrow across more than 14,000 contracts. The idea that Ripple can trade rights to those locked tokens adds complexity to how investors view its reserves. So what does this mean? It means that a lot of people, excuse me, let me back out of here because this is really important. All right. So a lot of people believe that the total circulating supply is far, far less than 100 billion, and they are right. Okay. So what this is concerning a lot of people with is that because they can sell the rights to those tokens that are locked in escrow, they're part of the circulating supply. They can only sell the rights to those tokens to institutional like banks and adoption that are going to be utilizing the technology. They already have dark pools where they buy and sell XRP without moving the price on many different exchanges. You can look up dark pools, they exist. So we already have dark pools. We already have limited supply. And even though institutions can buy those directly from Ripple, this is something they've been doing for years. This is not new news. This is why the SEC case happened to begin with, because they were debating if Ripple was selling a security. That's where the whole security XRP came into effect. So there is a circulating supply of 65 billion. The rest is locked in escrow, and Ripple can sell those to its institutional partners. Remember, they have 1,700 NDAs out right now. This is how they've been able to fund and acquire their business. This is not new news. I think it's just a lot of people didn't fully understand how it was working or why. So this is XRP, remember, is not a currency. It is a security. It is a utility bridge asset. It's more like a commodity than it is anything else. So nothing to worry about there. But I want to come back and get back to this real quick because we're going to go, boom, here it is. So since we were just talking about supply, why is my internet going slow? Here we go. Since we were just talking about supply, it says the XRP exchange's reserves drop ahead of historically strong November. Crypto quant data showed XRP's balance on Binance has dropped over 3 billion tokens to they got that wrong. Has dropped from over 3 billion tokens to 2.7 billion since the start of October. Moreover, last week the exchange balance fell to its lowest level since mid-October. So So Binance had over 300 million XRP move off its exchange last month. That is big. This decline isn't limited to Binance alone. Other major exchanges such as Bybit, Gate, HTX, OKX have also seen reductions in their XRP reserves. XRP is leaving exchanges. It's been leaving exchanges slowly not slowly. It's been leaving exchanges over time. Since June, this has been reported. Coinbase is low. Robinhood is low. Binance is low. Oh, man. Declining exchange reserves typically signaled reduced selling pressure and growing investor confidence. It suggests that holders are moving XRP off exchanges for long-term storage, indicating accumulation on a generally bullish sign of the asset. The trend stands out because it has emerged during one of XRP's weakest historical periods. Data from CryptoRank shows that over the past 12 years, XRP has closed October in the red 7 times, and this year seems no different. So far, the altcoin dropped 7.13% in October. Market data shows that at press time, XRP is trading 265, down 0.0289% over the past 24 hours. So reduced float on exchanges. This narrative continues and has been continuing since July. So price is going down, news is going up, exchange rates are lowering. Guys, the price is so manipulated on XRP, it's ridiculous. I'm telling you, I did a video on it before. It reminds me of Amazon all over again. Like Amazon in 2001, when just every single metric was improving. And their price was just dropping like a rock. It made no sense. And then they just rocket ship. And I think that's what's going to happen with XRP. I've been watching this for 5 years, and it feels very exciting because we're on the cusp. November is going to be a great month. I really, really do believe November is going to be a fantastic month. If you made it to the end of the video, I appreciate every single one of you. Be sure to like and subscribe. You guys are amazing. If you made it to the end of the video, what's the word for today? It's Thursday, right? Tanked. If you made it to the end of the video, comment tanked. Let me know you're here, because if XRP keeps going down, that may be the only thing we can do is get tanked along with it and survive the weekend. But I appreciate all of you. Later.